Library of Heaven's Path. Chapter 10, Going Against the Bet. All right, since you said that you accepted 4 students, bring them here now so that can we verify your claim. Or, do you want to just present your face now for us to slap? Looking at the teacher who was first from the bottom arrogantly betting with the 4 of them, Qian Biao smirked coldly. Bring the students here? Zhang Xuan shook his head. You are all teachers of the logistics branch, it can't be that you don't even know the simplest thing. It is easy to verify whether I recruited 4 students or not. As long as students were to claim ownership of my token, their personal information will automatically appear in the Education Bureau. As long as we verify it with the Education Bureau, the truth would be clear for all to see. After all, the Education Bureau can't possibly be working with me just to lie to you all. As long as a student had verified his relationship with a teacher, the information would be automatically transmitted to the Education Bureau and recorded. No one would be able to fake the results. Li Yuan, you take a look. I want to see how this fellow could still act so smug after that. After looking at his confident expression and hearing his words, Qian Biao was taken aback for a moment before turning around to command Li Yuan. Li Yuan was one of the teachers who mocked Zhang Xuan previously. Hearing the orders, he turned around and walked out of the logistics branch. The Education Bureau and Logistics Branch belonged under the Administration Branch. It didn't take long for Li Yuan to return with a darkened face. How was it? Looking at the expression on his face, Qian Biao's heart pounded furiously, Ji Dong. As an ominous premonition loomed in his head. There are 4 students who acknowledged him as their teachers. These are their names or personal information. Li Yuan's face turned strikingly pale. Even now, he still found the fact hard to believe. Were those 4 students blind? Of the many teachers in Hongtian Academy, why did they have to choose a teacher who scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examination, a fellow who didn't know anything? Let me look at it. Let's make sure that he didn't find some disabled and blind fellows who could be expelled at any time to be his students. Qian Biao grabbed the name list. The other 2 teachers hurriedly surrounded him. There were quite a few teachers who would recruit some inadequate students so as to boost the number of students they have. These people could be expelled at any time. Even if they were kept in the academy at the moment, they probably wouldn't last more than a few months. In Qian Biao's opinion, for a person like Zhang Xuan who ranked at the very bottom, even if he successfully managed to recruit students, he could only recruit the worst of the lot, students whom no one wants. Accepting this kind of students just to fill the numbers didn't bring the teacher any pride, it brought shame instead. Wang Ying, a female? She doesn't sound like anything by her name. She is probably one of the students who scored the worst in the entrance examination. Looking at the first name on the name list, Qian Biao snorted in disdain. Hongtian Academy was not a place anyone could enter. If one wished to enroll, they would first have to undergo the entrance examination. Then, the students would be ranked based on their results and those who met the prerequisites would be accepted. Those who scored the first few in the entrance examination were hot targets for the more outstanding teachers. Each of them were famous in this academy and among them, there didn't seem to be a student called Wang Ying. Qian Lishi, continue looking on. Before Qian Biao could finish his words, he heard the trembling voice of one of the teachers beside him. Why? Could she be worse than I have described? With a cold laugh, Qian Biao continued browsing down the list. With just one look, his eyes narrowed as he read the detailed information on Wang Ying below her name. Rank 67 of the entrance examination, younger sister of Wang Tao, an elder's disciple, and the young mistress of one of the 4 great families in Tianqian City. The young mistress of the Wang family. Wang Tao's younger sister? Qian Biao gasped in astonishment. There are 4 great families in Tianqian Kingdom and the Wang family is one of it. The young mistress of such an esteemed family acknowledged the fellow who got a 0 for his teacher qualification examination as her teacher? Are you for real? Shouldn't a figure like that go for Lu Sun or Wang Chao? If her family were the ones who induced fear in him, then what caused him to fall into despair was Wang Ying's elder brother, Wang Tao. He was enrolled in the academy 2 batches prior, and after his enrollment, he had always scored within the top 10 in the annual comprehensive evaluation. This year, an elder in the academy even set his eyes upon him and accepted him in as his disciple. If the older brother has that kind of talent, how bad can the younger sister be? Having an influential background, talent, and a good brother, she still chose to acknowledge this fellow as her teacher? My eyes must be going blind for it to make such a mistake. Qian Biao could hear lightning rumbling around him and he felt on the verge of fainting. Look at the ones below. Just as he was convulsing in disbelief, another teacher exclaimed with a shaky voice. He probably used up all of his luck to be able to admit a Wang Ying in. I don't believe that he would be capable of getting someone even more incredible. Clenching his teeth, Qian Biao continued glancing down the list. When his eyes gazed on that name, his entire body convulsed yet again and he felt the sight before him turning dark. Zhao Ya. The Zhao Ya who is 7th in the entrance examination? The daughter of the city lord of Biao City? Qian Biao felt like tears were going to stream down from his eyes at any point. He just said that he wouldn't believe that Zhang Xuan would be able to recruit an even more incredible student, and never in his wildest dreams would he imagine that he was able to. Not only so, it was a popular student whom countless teachers would go crazy for. He had already heard of this Zhao Ya before she even enrolled in this academy. She was the daughter of the city lord of Biao City, and not only was she pretty, she was also blessed with great talents. This kind of talent would be competed over by the teachers who rank at the top. Why would she acknowledge such a trash? Impossible, this was impossible. He tried to forcibly suppress his emotions. Glancing downwards, he saw the names, Lu Yang and Zhen Yang. The two may not be very famous, but their rankings were not low in the entrance examinations, scoring within the first 100. Especially Zhen Yang, it was said that he specialized in the spear. Due to the limitations of the examination, he wasn't able to exert his full strength, causing his ranking to fall behind. If he were to be allowed to use his spear, he might be even able to get into the top 20. Staring at the names of the 4 on the list over and over again, Qian Biao and the other teachers felt like they are going mad. This wasn't rational. You must have used some kind of deception to get them to acknowledge you. Even though they acknowledged you as their teacher, they don't know who you are. The moment they find out, they would withdraw from your lessons. Suddenly, Qian Biao howled with a savage expression. What rights did a teacher who scored 0 in the teacher qualification examination have to recruit such outstanding students? He must have used some kind of despicable method which no one knew of. The moment these methods were revealed, these students would abandon him in anger. That was to say, while it is true he had 4 students, these students probably wouldn't follow him for long. They would withdraw from his lessons in a matter of time. It isn't your problem whether they withdraw from my lessons or not. The bet that we decided on was whether I have students now. Now that you all have verified that I have 4 students, shouldn't we be fulfilling the conditions of our bet? Couldn't be bothered with the savage-looking quartet whose minds were all around the place, Zhang Xuan spoke calmly. Qian Biao, Li Yuan, and the other 2 have expressions on their face that looked as though they were in a funeral. The content of their bets was indeed on whether he had students now, and not what would happen in the future. Going by such, they have lost. However, they were unable to accept the fact that they have lost and that they would be slapped by the worst teacher in the academy. Bet. Little fellow, what if we refuse? After a slight hesitation, Qian Biao smirked coldly and a ferocious look appeared on his plump face. Indeed, even if we go against our words, what can you do? Ha ha, do you want to beat us up? The fact is, do you have the ability to? The worst teacher in the academy with the worst cultivation. To be so smug in front of us, do you believe that even if we were to beat you up to the point that your head swells up like a pig head, no one would come to stop us? Stop acting cool and perhaps you could stay in the academy a little longer. Otherwise, it wouldn't take long for you to be kicked out and be shamed. Li Yuan and the others immediately understood Qian Baiao's intentions and sneers. Not only did Zhang Xuan fare the worst in the teacher qualification examination, his cultivation was also sub-par among all of the teachers. Even if he wasn't the very worst, he wasn't far from it. That's precisely the reason why he didn't have the eye to discern the problems in the training of his students. Naturally, Qian Baiao and the rest wouldn't be willing to be slapped. Since the other party didn't possess the strength to enforce the agreement, they intended to go against their words to the end. Oh. That is to say, you all don't intend to follow the rules of the bet? Zhang Xuan wasn't angry. Instead, he smiled at them. That's right. You brat, what do you think you are? To think that you would think of slapping me, do you believe that I will slap you to your death right now? Seeing how this fellow didn't back out and continued acting so smugly, Li Yuan was provoked and immediately sent a slap towards him. Even before the slap reached him, the pressure from the wind caused one to experience shortness of breath. Although this Li Yuan was only a teacher of the logistics branch, his cultivation wasn't low. He had already reached the level of a fighter 4 Dan advanced. There were 9 dans to a fighter, 1 Dan Juxai, 2 Dan Danshan, 3 Dan Genkai, 4 Dan Pigu, 5 Dan Dingli, 6 Dan Pixu, 7 Dan Tongxian, 8 Dan Zongxi, 9 Dan Zhizun. Another new world appeared with every level. The higher you climb, the harder it was for you to progress. In every level, there were 4 tiers: primary, intermediate, advanced and pinnacle. Zhang Xuan was the youngest teacher in the entire academy, being just 19 this year. His cultivation was only at 3 Dangenkai pinnacle. Li Yuan was a level higher than him. The difference between each level was very great and almost couldn't be overcome. Pa! Just when everyone thought that Li Yuan would definitely strike on Zhang Xuan's face, leaving him faint-headed, a sudden crisp sound echoed. Everyone immediately saw a red mark on Li Yuan's face as fresh blood spurted out of him and a large bunch of his teeth fall to the floor. How? How is this possible? Everyone stood in their spot dumbfounded and on the verge of going insane.